Hello, this is Nick from When Prog and Power Unite, and today I'm chatting with Mike LePond, the bassist for progressive metal acts Symphony X and Affector, as well as the leader of new band, Mike LePond's Silent Assassins. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you. Let's talk about your new project first, the Silent Assassins. You've been a part of a lot of live shows and a lot of recordings over the years, but this seems to be your first major attempt at the head of a big project. What was it like organizing everything?
Yes, this was the first time where I actually had to do everything. In Symphony X, our guitar player, Michael Romeo, will usually write most of the music, and then, the rest of us come in and throw in our 2 cents. But this time, I had to do basically everything. So it was definitely a daunting task, and it took a lot of time and a lot of patience. But at the end of the day, I was really happy with everything, and I was really proud to finally put something out that was all me.
Of all the different new tasks that you had to take care of, what would you say was the most challenging or maybe just the most unusual to you?
Well, as far as, the songwriting and the lyrics, that actually was not too bad. I think the hardest part was when I had to look for other people to bring into the fold. When it's all in-house and I'm doing everything, then it's all fine. But when you trust your music with other people, it gets a little dicey. So that took a lot of time to get just the right people, but I think I did. So it's all good.
Well, that actually leads me into one of my other questions. Now, two of the people on the album are Michael Romeo and Michael Pinella, who, of course, you knew from Symphony X. But the other two guys, Alan and Mike, did you know them or have you ever worked with them prior to this album?
Yes, I did. Alan and Metal Mike, we all live in New Jersey, USA. And that's what I wanted. What I really wanted was to have everybody somewhat local so I could actually go to the studio with them. I really didn't want to just send the music to somebody in another country and then they'll just send it back. I really wanted to be there. So Alan Tecchio, I knew him since 2010, and we were playing in Seven Witches for a while. And I really liked his voice. And at that point, I was kind of thinking ahead, wow, if I did do a solo album, I'd really like to have him in there because he had that really tough, gritty voice, but he could sing really well, too, with it. So that was perfect. And as far as Metal Mike Kleizchek, I've known him for about 10 years. And I actually played on his solo album, which he put out a few years ago as well. So he was more than happy to return the favor, and it's great having guys like that are so close by.
All right. Well, before my next question, let me just say, as a native of Pennsylvania, I won't hold the fact that you're from Jersey against you. But I'd say that you're very well known as a progressive metal bassist, yet the Silent Assassins album is a much rawer album, much more traditional metal album. I'd say far closer to a Judas Priest than a Symphony X. Is that a style that you've always come from and just wanted to visit since you don't do it as much in your main project?
That's exactly right. I grew up with all these bands, with Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Manowar, Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, and the list goes on and on. And I've been in Symphony X now for a really long time. And, I got to thinking about, wow, it would be really cool to put out an album that is like a nod to my roots, And it was something I always wanted to do. And then when Symphony X came out with our last record, Iconoclasts, back in 2011, I thought, wow, this would be a great time to start working on it while we're on the road. And that way, when we're finally done with all our touring, I could have all the songs ready to go. And that's basically what I did.
All right. Now, one of the things about the new album that I really enjoy, or at least I really found fascinating, is it's one of the few albums I ever listened to for the first time and didn't immediately pick out the fact that there were programmed drums on it. I believe Michael Romeo did the programming on that, correct?
Yes, and you know something? You're not alone. Michael Romeo has fooled many pro drummers with his drum programming. He really did a phenomenal job with the drum programming, and there were very few people that could even tell. So, he convinced me because when I was talking to him about helping me with the project, he was like, yeah, I could do the drum programming, and, with all the latest technology, most people will not even know. So I trusted him, and boy, he did a fantastic job.
I have to agree. It truly almost always sticks out in an album. First time you can tell it's programmed. But this one, I actually had to read it somewhere before I realized it was not a real drummer.
Yep. Cool.
But now on this album, along with the bass, you also take the rhythm guitar duties. Is that something that you've played for a long time, or is that something that you've more developed in recent years?
Well, I've always written songs on the guitar. Believe it or not, I never really wrote songs on the bass too much, very little. So I can play rhythm guitar. I'm really not a good lead player at all, but I can play just enough where I can write, So when I was going to do this album, I was like, wow, if I have to just go to someone's house and teach them every single song, it's going to be like, wow, it takes so long. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to try to do it myself. So, I went in there and, and I was just playing the stuff. And if there was anything that I, couldn't play or it was a little sloppy, Romeo would just take the guitar and he'd play it for me. So, again, he comes through in the clutch again.
It's good to have good friends like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now, I believe you currently have plans for a second Silent Assassins album. Can you tell me a little bit about where things stand with that?
Right, yeah. I definitely want to do a second Silent Assassins record. And actually, I have all the songs either written or they're written in my head and I just have to make a demo of them. So all the songs are in place, really. So it's just a matter of finding the time to record it now, because now Symphony X is up and running again. So I just got to find the time to record it. I have a title for the album. It's going to be called Pawn and Prophecy. And the title track will feature a 20-minute song. So I'm excited to get started on it. But again, it's just a matter of finding the right timing.
Okay, and I understand that you also hope to take the project on the road at some point, which means for the second album and for the live setting, do you think it's going to be the same or a similar lineup?
Well, for a live situation, I'll definitely have Alan Tecchio with me, the vocalist. But what we'll probably have to do is get some other live musicians to do it. But I'm looking forward to doing that. And again, it's a matter of timing because Symphony X is going to be touring the world over the next 2 years. So I'm going to try to find some high-profile gigs, just some where I get, you go in there and there's a lot of press and you get a lot of bang out of it.
Well, that makes sense with the new project. You definitely want to get some exposure for that. And worst comes to worst, you can just set Michael Romeo's laptop up on a drum riser and have it take care of that part of it.
Very true, my friend. Very true.
Now let's take a little bit and talk about Symphony X. A couple of weeks ago, you guys released your 9th album, Underworld, and it actually became the 3rd straight Symphony X album to chart on the Billboard 200. Well, I'd say many acts might struggle to keep up that kind of success with 4-year spans between albums. You guys have managed to do it, and what would you attribute to that?
Well, I think that we're not the type of band that just says to ourselves, all right, we just finished our touring cycle for the last album. We just got to get a new album out really fast. We're not into any songs that are filler. We want to take our time and make every song the best song it can be. So, we work hard on every album, and the reason it usually takes about 4 years is because, we want to make sure we put out the best album we can at the time. And also that 4-year difference, you know, it gives us a chance to listen to other things and almost kind of reinvent ourselves for the next record.
Okay. One interesting thing about the new album that I found is that you have a number of co-writing credits on it, but it's for lyrics, which isn't often something you see split up amongst individuals. Can you tell me a little bit about how you and Michael Romeo worked together on the lyrics?
Sure. You know, we were listening to the songs, and you know, Romeo had written a bunch of songs, and you know, we wanted to do a concept record, and we were trying to kick around ideas, and then eventually Mike came up with an idea of, why don't we combine the Greek myth of Orpheus with Dante's Inferno and just come up with some sort of story in there. And I said, great. So he said, you know, if you got any lyrics, let me know. So I basically read the stories, and I gave Mike about 10 pages of lyrics. I said, here you go. Do with them what you will. So he went through my lyrics. He went through his lyrics. And I guess, you know, he just took what kind of easily fit into the tracks. And that's how the songs were born.
Very good. It's not every day you see something like that coming together, but it's an interesting way to approach things.
Yeah. It just kind of happened that way. It seemed like the stars just kind of aligned for this record, and it just came out, and we were just loving it.
Okay. Now, I would say with those last 3 Symphony X albums that have, you know, really kept you guys going and on the map, they've all done really well. I think it's fair to say that they've been a little less symphonic, if you pardon the pun, than the albums previously, and a little bit more guitar-driven. Is that something that we can expect to see for the future?
Well, you're right. I'd say in the last 10 years, it's definitely been more guitar-driven. I guess that's because Romeo has written more of the music. Like in the old days, Michael Pinella was in with a lot of the writing with him. So then Mike kind of, you know, whatever, he just kind of stopped writing as much as he used to, and I guess just Romeo's a guitar player, so it just kind of happened that way. Now in the future, you know, with Symphony X, you never know what's going to happen. We may start going more towards the old stuff. We might start going more with the newer style. We just don't know. It just all depends. We don't really think about what we're going to do. We just kind of start writing and see where it takes us.
Okay. Well, you had mentioned that you're gearing up for a lot of touring here in the future, and one question I've always wanted to ask one of you guys is about your live output. I consider you guys one of the most amazing and consistent live bands out there. Yet it's been 15 years almost since you've released a live CD, never done a full concert video. Is there a reason that you haven't released much live material?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that I would probably have to say that is the biggest question that we've always gotten. That is the most popular question. And, you know, it's not like we don't want to do a DVD. We really do. And we always talk about doing a DVD. But for some reason, it just kind of doesn't happen for whatever reason, scheduling or whatever. And again, after this record came out, we are talking about doing a DVD. And we want to do something that's really cool and really different. You know, we don't want to just have, just like a live concert. We want to have something really creative in there. So, we are talking to different artists and different people about it. So, I mean, fingers crossed, hopefully next year we'll finally do one of these DVDs.
All right, perfect. I very much look forward to that. Hopefully, coming out at this point. And speaking of your live show, like you said, you got a lot of touring coming up. It starts off the Underworld tour starts off with Overkill next month, and of course, those dates can be found at symphonyx.com. Now, when you go out with another big act like Overkill, do you at all try to tune your live set to hopefully appeal and capture their fans at all?
Well, yeah, like it's always something that we have to think about when we're co-headlining with another band. Like in 2012, we did a big co-headlining tour with Iced Earth, and now Overkill. So the question we have is, we want to definitely give our fans a good show, but we also want to possibly gain some Overkill fans. So it's kind of like you're walking a tightrope. You want to just have the right set for the Overkill fans and for our fans too. So yeah, we're gonna play a lot of cool stuff for our fans, but we're gonna throw some heavy stuff in there also for the Overkill fans.
Sounds like a good plan. Now, before you head on your way, is there anything else that you'd like to let people know about?
Well, I would just like to say in general, to all your fans that know Symphony X and follow Symphony X, we want to say thank you for your support for all these years. Please check out our new album, Underworld. We think it's a really strong record, and I hope you guys will like it too. And we're going to be on tour this year, next year, all over the world. So we hope to see you guys on tour also. And as far as me personally, I have a solo album out called Mike LePond's Silent Assassins. It's just a raw, straight-ahead, in-your-face heavy metal record. And I hope you guys like that too. And again, I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, and I just want to reiterate something I said earlier. I find especially your vocalist, Russell Allen, to be just an amazing live performer and so consistent and powerful live, and the same goes for the rest of the band. So even if someone is not a huge fan of the studio output, you guys tour a lot, and I cannot recommend enough that someone who might not even know you that well go see you live. So thank you again, Mike, for taking the time, and have a great tour with Overkill.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.